Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our LinkedIn Live Trust series. I'm Thomas Meyer. I'm a director for strategic planning of our digital media business and have been with Adobe for 6 years in various roles. And I have invited interview partners of mine to talk about digital trust. The background is that we at Adobe believe that digital trust is an important element in the digital transformation of our society and of our customer experience. And we've done a research study with more than 10,000 consumers and close to 1,000 executives around the world, asking them about their attitudes and their perceptions of digital trust. And today, I'm very glad to welcome Serge Raffard from Allianz with me here to talk about some of the results of this study, but also his experience of digital trust. Serge is the Group Marketing Strategy and Distribution Officer of Allianz, based in Munich. And I very much welcome you to this format, Serge.
Thank you, Thomas. Good to see you again.
Wonderful. My very first question, and for each guest, is that I would love to have your personal definition of digital trust. How do you and how does Allianz define digital trust?
Yeah. So Allianz, being an insurance and asset management company, we have been doing our business based on trust for all our existence for 150 years. So trust is really the essence, especially in insurance, because basically you secure the future of the customer by offering a contract. And then we need to deliver on this contract and this promise. So it's really all based on trust. So that's really a key component we always had in mind, even before the digital world was even created.
Yeah.
But then now digital trust indeed brings much more complexity to the trust element because there are questions about data and data protection, how much data we need, and how much data is secured, and then how much information I give or I get based on this data. And then the trust question comes again. Do I trust my business partner with the data I give digitally?
And you mentioning that Allianz, being one of the largest insurance as well as asset management companies in the world, what do you think? How does Allianz try to differentiate or put digital trust into the foreground, given that it's always been in the background and always part of your heritage and of your business model? But talk to me a little bit of how this digital world might have changed the perception of trust and also what you do in order to preserve it.
Yeah. So I would say we have to play on two fronts. One is really, let's say, all the new benefits we can offer based on digital and digital trust, but at the same time deal with the practicality of it. And that's where it starts. What do I mean by this? To be able to interact digitally with our customers, we need to get their digital ID. We need to get, in most of the time, the marketing consent to be able to do this interaction. And so the first interaction, to be frank, is not the most exciting because we have to ask a prospect or a customer for this information. And then indeed the customers or the prospect wonders, why do I need it? So that's why we need to basically mention all the benefits it really provides. So there is much more this, indeed, I would say, transactional element at the beginning. The good news is that thanks to the great work of the team here, and I guess based on the good trust that was created even before the digital world, We have now 96% of our customers give us their digital ID. And we have marketing consent with 60% of our customers. So from what we understand, it's quite a large amount, and it's growing. It's a big initiative we have been promoting, because then, as I say, it can then provide we can then provide much more benefits than in the past. Starting, I would say, really with personalization.
Yeah.
With also delivering of the right information or services at the right time, at the right place, which we were not able to do in the past, pre-digital world.
Yeah. We'll come to that concept of providing benefits and customers also realizing that benefit in a moment. But first, one insight from the study was that I think close to 70% of executives said that during the pandemic and during the last 2 years, they found it harder to build and maintain trust with their consumers. Question, did you have the same experience, or how did this pandemic and what many people said, acceleration of the digital or digitization of our society, how has that influenced your ability to maintain or build that trust? Was it maybe even helpful to get to that 96% or 60% marketing consent?
Yeah, great question. So let me explain or answer in two parts. The first part, I think for us, it was more the opposite. I would say, again, being especially on the insurance side, typically when the risks increases, that's where you also see more benefits in insurance. So I would say indeed the appetite for insurance, the appetite, especially for Allianz, which in the insurance space is really seen as the solid company. A lot of our customers say, if there is one company that will be the last one standing in that area, that will be Allianz. And so I think that there is really more indeed pull for this type of brand when there is a difficult situation. So I think that played to our advantage. Then the second part of the answer is indeed the digital part. And it's like, everybody else, we had some digitalization, we had various sort of access offered digitally to our customer, but far from being 100% on everything we were doing. And starting, I would say, even with our agents, because as you know, still in insurance, except in a few markets or few products, still a large part of the sales process is still done with human being. But then we had already available, but not so many agents, insurance agents were using digital tools to communicate with their customer. And obviously overnight, they had to, otherwise they were out of business. And that's where it was very interesting, because I would say with digital trust, actually, to bring a new component to this, we always want to say, we are good with customer because we offer the digital services, but with a human care.
Yeah.
And we saw it really during the crisis, because if we look at our pure direct digital businesses versus the one with human beings in the same country, for example, in Italy, we could see that there was more appetite for the customer to interact digitally still with a human person on the other side of the screen than just pure digitally, let's say, more with a computer, because they wanted this human interaction. And I guess also maybe exacerbated by the crisis, where you didn't have that many social interactions. This interaction with a human being still via a screen accelerated this. So just to summarize, we had a huge acceleration of indeed the ability to connect with customer, back to digital ID, marketing consent.
Mhm.
that help us to push our pure digital services, whether to buy or to service or to claim or on asset management to access, all our portals, but also to bring this human interface into the digital flow, I think was even more important than we would have thought.
One, I thought, really interesting aspect as well of our study was that 71% of respondents said that they are concerned about how companies handle their data. Now, Allianz has a lot of data about their customer and leverages it to provide a personalized and individualized offer and experience to their customers. How do you react to these concerns, and how do you preserve the trust and also communicate the actions and things you're doing in order to address those concerns that seem to be real out there with consumers?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a lot of concern by the customer about their data. And good news is that in our industry, if you look at this, I saw a survey recently, financial institutions and healthcare are the two industries where there is the most trust in the data being held by the companies in those sectors. So that's at least a good start. But to really preserve that trust, because it takes time to build trust and you can lose it overnight. It's like with brands. We need to basically do whatever it takes to get the maximum level of security on the data we have from our customers. And so we have taken, for example, these big initiatives over the last couple of years to move from more than 100 data centers to just a handful of those to get the maximum level of security on those. So that's one thing we did. And then, other things we do, especially with cybersecurity, we do our own attacks, for example, of our data centers to really, and we hire the best hackers in the world, literally to attack our data centers and try to see how we can preserve them. So far, we have been really good at this. We're even thinking, back to your question, whether we should communicate more about this. But so far, we have not done so. But we spend a lot of time and a lot of money on this.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. But speaking about communication and communicating this, I think more and more, and that's also what came out in our study, is that communicating in an empathetic way and leveraging data about your customers to actually do that and put yourself in the customer's shoes, be helpful, etc., is a core expectation of consumers. And they say to us that brands that are leveraging my data in order to give me benefits and are empathetic to my needs are those that I trust more. You being group marketing officer, among others, how do you address this expectation, and what kind of things do you leverage in your communication to make sure that Allianz becomes empathetic to their needs?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we have the same data here saying, we need to be more empathic with our customer. I would say probably even more from an Allianz point of view, because again, Allianz is typically seen again as a very strong blue German-based companies, where sometimes a bit too cold. So that's why we have this even probably more prominent in our desire to change the customer experience compared to some other companies in our industries. And so we work a lot on this. What we are doing this year as we speak, it should be finalized the rollout by the end of Q2. We have created a program called the Habit Program. And so at Allianz, we have 33,000 people in our call centers globally. And they are literally trained now, every one of them, and retrain on being much more empathic with our customers. So we have put a program in place for this. And there is a lot of excitement by also the people in the call centers, because they feel indeed much more human. As we have this discussion today, we try to make it as less formal as we can, and that's a bit what we want also our call center people. If Thomas, you call me, I'm a call center person, I say, how are you? If you say, oh, you just have a claim, I say, oh, are you okay, or is your family member okay, and so on, as opposed to what's your policy number. So it just starts with this. And then we have another program which is called the tonality. And so both the tone of voice, but also the tone of what we write. And now we are indeed also using intelligence, artificial intelligence, to see, and behavioral science to optimize this tonality and to adapt to the customer needs. So, but I would say so far still we can, even without science, we can do much better, and we are doing this, but now we enhance this with more science. And it goes both ways, by the way, because we also have some tools that analyze, when a customer calls, we have tools that help basically analyze the level of stress, and then that can help our people to adapt to the customer, I would say, indeed, state of mind.
Great. Yeah. And here's a slightly personal question, because so I am a German living in London. I have Allianz life insurance contracts, and they have the benefits I receive out of them have slightly changed, given that I don't pay taxes in Germany anymore, but I'm in the UK. Now, I've seen more and more brands going into, hey, here's the data that I have. I'm trying to be empathetic and reach out to customers about a changing situation pattern. Think about those telecom providers saying, hey, your usage has changed. Here might be another contract that might be more relevant for you. I have not yet received a communication from Allianz, which might partially have to do that there are agents in between, etc. And I get that. But I wonder whether you are thinking about that, proactive, data-driven, here's what we know about Thomas Meyer, here is what we see, what's happening with his contracts, here is how we should reach out, given that we know certain things and we can make some assumptions and or provide advice on how to do that forward. Question, is that something that you are thinking about, and or what's the internal discussion on this, given that often this will have consequences short and long term, and often, the way on how you build trust is that it might short term, not a profit maximizing way, but you have to then convince stakeholders to think longer term. There was a lot there in that question, but would love to get your perspective on, what that discussion is within Allianz on this topic.
Yeah. No, first, thanks for being a loyal customer. So that's great to hear that. Then your question is perfectly fair. And the insurance industry as a whole, but also Allianz, not too different here than compared to the other, indeed, we're a bit behind some other industries on really adapting the product to indeed the evolution of the customer. So here it's more than discussion. Obviously, we're acting on this. So let me give you three things we are doing. So the first thing is, again, you don't need to be digital also to do this. Just back to the agent, we want, and from this year we really want, and we ask all our agents in the world to do this yearly review of the situation of the customer to see what needs to be adjusted up or down or removed or added. So, that seems pretty obvious, but that's far from being done systematically. So we're putting a big push on this. Actually, I was late today for this meeting just because I was with the team on this topic. So that's point number one. Point number two, indeed, now digitally, because we know better the customer, because we have indeed access to this data, because of the digital trust, the customer allows us to have access to this data, as I mentioned before. We know these changes of situation, and we can communicate and use the great, Adobe platform, the great campaign tools to really get this direct connection, even if there is an agent on the side. I'm not sidelining the agent, but together to come to Thomas and say, hey, we think we have noticed this, do you want indeed that we review something or change something? So we are working on this. It's already live in some countries for some customers, but it's far from being systematic. And then third, and this is live in Italy, that's where we started it. That's what we call really the insurance on air. So the same way you get your Apple product automatically upgraded, we want to do the same for insurance policy. And so our colleagues in Italy have already launched this. We even have it patented. So we got a patent for this. And now we want to systematically roll this out. But clearly with insurance, there are some complexities. There is regulation where we can't, even from a discussion to a decision to actions, it takes a bit more time than we would hope it would take for the customer benefits.
Sure. Any results yet from the Italy pilot?
Massively positive. The product has been increased by times 2 the sales compared to the previous version of the product.
Wow, that's encouraging to hear. Great. I think we're at a time. Serge, I would like to thank you for providing your time, your insights, and thoughts on digital trust. For all of you that would like to know more about our study and the topic itself, you will find a link in the description for this video to find out more about the trust series research that we've done. Serge, some final words?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. Best wishes for the Adobe Summit. That's a great event every year. The first time I attended, I was really impressed.
Nice.
And so I'm sure this edition will be as exciting as previous ones. And I think also back to trust, we have a trusted partnership with Adobe. You help us actually increase this personalization, this communication that is all based on digital trust. So we hope we can even improve the benefits to our customers. And as we say, our aspiration, as we communicated also at Capital Market Day in December, it's all live and public. We aspire to be the trusted partner to protect and grow your most valuable assets.
Yeah.
And so trust is in our publicly available aspiration.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.